Democrats are still refusing to budge on the Save America Act, stalling the common sense legislation in the Senate. But as the majority of Americans, including Democrats, support voter ID, House Minority Whip Tom Emmer urged his Democrat colleagues to support the legislation on this show last night.
Listen to the American people. The American citizen believes that showing proof of citizenship to register to vote and then showing a photo ID when you present yourself to cast a ballot is a reasonable requirement. This is something that the American people want. This is something that's long overdue. And if you want to oppose this, well, then I would argue you're in favor of voter fraud.
Joining us now is Congressman Khanna, member of the House Armed Services and House Oversight Committees. Congressman, thank you for joining us. We don't get a lot of Democrats on here, so when we do, we want to treat you with respect, but also give you the questions that we feel like we need to ask. And, of course, the SAVE Act is what we're leading with here, so I just want to ask, I'll ask it this way. Do you believe only American citizens should vote in American elections?
Yes, of course. But I don't think that there's some widespread problem of those who are undocumented or don't have papers voting. And by the way, there are criminal laws for that. Enforce the criminal laws. If someone is voting who's not an American citizen, then they should be prosecuted. The problem I have with the SAVE Act is that it unfairly puts a burden on women. Women are going to, if they change their last name, have to go either amend their birth certificate or go get a passport. And it unfairly puts a burden on students. I mean, how is it that hunting and fishing licenses count, but student IDs don't count for kids?
It's a great point. Of all of these things that Democrats have brought up to Republicans in Congress on the SAVE Act, how many solutions have you offered? Like, for example, have you said, hey, if we fund this, then we don't have to worry about if it costs money to go get an ID? Or, hey, maybe put this burden back on the government, but still we provide you with those documents so you can go register to vote and show you're a citizen. My curiosity is, why isn't that the conversation? Why is it simply this act is bad?
Well, we have said that count student IDs. If you're a student ID at a public university, why shouldn't that count?
That's not what I asked. I didn't say ID. I said to prove you're a citizen. If you're saying that $40 for a birth certificate or the half a day it takes to go track down your birth certificate, if you're saying that that's too much of a burden, then why not say, hey, let's put citizenship on the census, or do something that allows people to show their citizenship between now and the next election that puts the burden on the federal government but still makes them prove they're a citizen?
Because my sense from all the data I've seen is there is not some widespread problem of those who are not citizens voting.
We don't just fix problems once they're so bad that we can't fix them, though, right? And you can agree with that. If it's worth making it where only citizens can vote, I feel like it's worth making sure that's what's happening. But that's fair, and I appreciate you answering those questions.
And maybe there could be compromise on saying, let's make sure they're prosecuted. I mean, I'm all for prosecuting someone who's voting illegally.
Yeah, well, me too. We absolutely agree on that, wholeheartedly.
Congressman, I often ask Democrats this question, and I get often one of two answers on it. I get it's Jim Crow 2.0, and married women and minorities are too dumb or too poor to get an ID. I get that. And then I also get the answer that you gave us, which is that, well, voter fraud really isn't a problem, so why do we need to secure our elections? And the frustration that we have, and I guess myself has, when we talk about that, is that every time you have Republicans like myself or President Trump talking about voter fraud, it's almost like taboo. You can't say it because then you're accusing a rigged election, or then you're making claims and you're going to get sued. So this is what's frustrating for Republicans and many Democrats who really want to see election integrity codified, is that, to Joey's point, we don't just want to say, oh, well, I guess we'll find it if it happens and then we won't talk about it. We want to say, no, let's have a meaningful legislation to secure our elections so we don't have any more discussion about this is rigged or that's rigged or this is an illegitimate president. Wouldn't that just be so much easier, Congressman?
I hear you, and we should be working towards making sure that people who are eligible to vote or citizens vote, and that there are strong penalties for violating the law. But the problem with the SAVE Act, and it's not just rhetoric, to require women who change their last name to amend their birth certificate, of course they can do that, but it's just putting a burden on it. It's creating a transaction cost and friction, and some women may not do that, and then that's putting a burden on them that you're not putting on men. And similarly, okay, if you can accept a hunting license or a fisherman's license to vote, but you don't accept a student ID, it's putting more burden on certain people in our society. And I just don't think that's the way to do it. But should we? I'm very clear. If you're not an American citizen, you should not vote. I mean, it's a privilege of American citizens.
Congressman Khanna, it's Mark Thiessen. So we just were discussing just before you came on, Mayor Mamdani is asking people to come out and help shovel the snow. And in order to do that, they have to present 2 forms of ID, fill out a government form, and other sundry things. Would you support an amendment to the SAVE Act that would apply Mayor Mamdani's snow shoveling policies to American vote elections?
I haven't seen Mamdani in snow. I'm not mayor. I would want anyone who's willing to help shovel snow. There's a case where if you're undocumented or an American citizen, we'll take your help. I think New Yorkers just want the snow cleared. So that would be my view.
Yeah, I was just perhaps a lot of people along the East Coast would agree with you on that one. Shifting gears ever so slightly, I want to go to the partial government shutdown. It's a real frustration. It's causing major issues. There was a potential for more snarling at our airports as a result. It looks like to some extent they're working on that and have solved some of those problems. But Americans tend not to like a government shutdown and to blame both sides of the aisle when it occurs. Are you any closer to ending the partial government shutdown, putting people back to work, ending the frustration for Americans?
No, unfortunately, we're not, and it's affecting all of us. I mean, I'm flying back from the Bay Area, from San Jose to D.C. tomorrow. I have to show up 2 hours early because TSA pre-check isn't working, and some of the expedited lines aren't working. So members of Congress understand the frustrations. I mean, we're always on planes. The problem is that we cannot provide additional funding to ICE until we are convinced that they are going to have safeguards so that they're not killing American citizens, so that they're not taking actions that violate people's constitutional rights.
I mean, ICE is funded through 2029, so it doesn't seem to be the fundamental issue at hand here. I think Democrats want to point to it as the fundamental issue, but this is having a broader impact, affecting things like FEMA, and as you mentioned, the travel. Good luck getting back to Washington, D.C. A lot of folks are going to have trouble all along the East Coast. When you try to focus on that one issue, I think the Republicans push back and say, you know, it's not really a fundamental part of the actual funding equation, though.
Well, it is part of the funding equation in that look, ICE already has $75 billion, right? That is what they were appropriated under Donald Trump's bill. So they already have money for the next 4 years. What we're talking about is $10 billion additional for funding. And the Democrats are not going to do that unless we have oversight, unless we have human rights the standards. Look, between the New Deal and George W. Bush, we had an INS that was under the Justice Department, and it operated with a great respect for people's rights. Now, there were intelligence failures. That led to 9/11. That's why there was the creation of ICE. My view is that we should still have oversight over justice for this agency, but we should have better intelligence sharing, and that we really need to have a new approach to enforcing immigration laws in a way that's constitutional.
I would invite you to Dalton, Georgia. Under George Bush, we had tens of thousands of illegals come to our city. Business owners shipped them in by the busload, and they killed people, drunk driving and other things. It was an issue before. It was an issue for a lot of places. I don't think we go back to that. I think we're in a good direction. But listen, we pressed you hard, and we appreciate you so much for coming on and joining us and bringing substantive answers. We really appreciate that, Congressman Ro Khanna.
Well, I appreciate your having me. I think we need more civil dialogue, and ultimately we're all on the same team, which is America, and our competition is China. So I appreciate your having this conversation.
Amen.
Yes, sir. And we had an American win today with the hockey team. So thanks for joining us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.